Welcome to the Wager Makers Podcast with Webb and Smitt.
Brick by brick, baby. I'm freaking out, Webb.
I was told there'd be no man. Stupidity's going to be an asset. What a bunch of crybabies.
Hello, my name is Steve Smith, and this is Rob Weber. Say hey, Webb.
Hello. What's up, Smitt?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm Smitt, that's Webb, and we are the Wager Makers, and this is the Wager Maker Podcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Huge show today. We got college football national championship right here in New Orleans. NFL playoffs. We're going to get that out right away, so you can get into games for Saturday and Sunday. And Webb, this is Wager Maker Podcast number 31.
31, baby, 31. This was not the most easy number. Came up with Reggie Miller.
And then of course Maddox, the great pitcher from the Braves for years
Greg
and
Maddox,
years. So.
yep.
Also Jamal Lewis from the Baltimore Ravens, famous number 31. But I think Maddox might take the cake. Obviously, Reggie Miller is a great Hall of Fame player as well.
Yeah, that next one will be There'll be a next couple. There's a plethora of picks.
Right. 32. Plenty of 32s. We'll almost have to have an argument over that one. Yeah, no doubt.
Right,
no
33.
doubt.
I'm sure it'll be another discussion, too.
No doubt. So we can get right into it. NFL playoffs today and tomorrow, this afternoon. Obviously, rough weekend last weekend for the Hoodats. I don't know. So it's almost good that we needed to wait till Saturday for this podcast because I'm still licking my wounds over last week's game, and it took me
salt in the wound.
Me a whole week to kind of just get back to life here a little bit. It still hurts, and the game's playing today is going to hurt to come out and lay an egg against Minnesota. Shit pisses me off, Webb. I stuck up for Drew Brees last week.
Yeah, your boy let you down, man.
I stuck up for the Saints and the disrespect last week, and man, I don't know, to come out and just play like a bunch. Get pushed around the field really by Minnesota is what happened. I mean, I don't know what Saints fans started calling at the ref on the last play of the game and stuff like that again, but not the extent of other times. I think everybody knew that the Saints just got their ass kicked. There's no two ways about it. They got beat every way you can get beat. They got beat in the trenches. They got outcoached. They got outplayed. The Minnesota Vikings came to play, and the Saints did not. And it's that simple. Sean Payton, 3rd and 1, and he's running jet sweeps to the outside instead of taking it at the guys. Saints defense getting ran all over. They lost in every possible scenario. They lost in special teams. Other than Harris had a pretty good day returning. Missed a field goal before the half that would have made it tied up going into halftime. Lost the special teams battle. Lost the battle in the trenches where games are won and lost. Gave up running yards. Could not run the ball. Time of possession, turnovers, lost the turnover battle 2-1. Every possible scenario. The Saints were lucky just to be in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, having you said all that, now you were still right there at the end. I mean, the thing that struck me the most about just Drew Brees looked old. I mean, he cannot throw the ball 30, 40 yards down the field. He missed, I think right before the interception, he threw another silly pass into double coverage that which almost could have been picked off, but it was a couple yards shy. If it was 3 or 4 yards down the field, it had a chance of being completed. And then the interception was ridiculous. I don't know what he was thinking. He was looking like Josh Allen from the day before, or the week before. And then the ball slipping out of his hand was just another thing. So that was to me that was like, wow, this is, it kind of hit him like a ton of bricks. And I expected him to come out and certainly.
Yeah, I mean, this team
play much better than that.
I mean, as a fan base, we were all pretty disappointed when the Saints didn't get the bye week. You know what I mean? It was like, oh shit, because you're gonna know as a fan, look, it's gonna be a long, hard road. But the Saints were all the week before leading up to the playoff game. They were saying all the right things. Like, I don't care if we get the bye week or not. We can play anybody, anywhere. We're gonna go on the road, whatever we need to do. We're gonna take care of business. This team came out playing like the Saints fans felt all week. Like, oh shit, we didn't get the bye week. Right. I mean, they said all the right things, but they looked like a team that was just not interested in being there. I mean, it's that simple. And Drew Brees did look like crap, but I'm not going to lay this all on him. When your offensive line is getting their ass kicked, it's kind of hard. They couldn't get a running game going. They couldn't get anything. All right, sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. There's a hell of a storm rolling in here to New Orleans, Webb, right now. So our internet crapped out on us, and so we'll try and get back to right where we were. We're talking about Drew Brees in that game. Yeah, he looked like crap, but man, the Saints offensive line looked like crap. So it's hard to really judge what he did. He made some mistakes, obviously, on that deep throw right before the half. That's like Sean Payton and Drew Brees, like killer territory. When they know they're getting the ball in the second half and they got the ball with 2 minutes left in the first half, they almost always go down the field and score. And he gives up the turnover. I'm not going to put this all on Drew Brees, though. I told you last week how great he'd been playing, but that Saints offensive line just got their butts kicked all game long. But partly that's Sean Payton's fault. This dude always gets too cute. I mean, the playoff games are about busting somebody in the face, busting somebody's ass. That cute shit is for regular season. In the postseason, you got to win in the trenches. You got to run the ball. Latavius Murray, you bring him in here to take over for Mark Ingram. He has 5 carries in the game against his former team. I thought it was just too cute. The team didn't come to play. If Sean Payton doesn't have the lead, he abandons the running game. Period. That's it. If the Saints are up by 10, he's the most balanced coach you'll ever find. If they're down by 10, there's no more passing in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, getting out coached and getting too cute there. That was like Jason Garrett-esque on the jet sweep there with 3rd and 1. That was just dumb. And then the offensive line and the coaching. Zimmer brought Daniil Hunter or whatever the guy's name is, and they played inside against the guards. I guess they targeted the guards as being the weakest part of the Saints O-line, and obviously it worked. So yeah, he got outplayed, outcoached. The offensive line got outplayed, and then definitely too cute on that. And then on the technical difficulty, Smitt, I'm gonna have to hold back the intern's pay here. Perone's not gonna get he's not gonna get a stipend.
Yeah.
He's not going to get his stipend this week.
This is tough being producer, on-air talent, and engineer all at the same time. It's like, and listen, folks, we learned how to do this shit through Google and YouTube, so bear with us on this a little bit. Right. And, man, if you look at the radar, there's a hell of a storm bearing down in New Orleans right now, but it's going to be in and out of here. Well, we got the College Football National Championship coming up right here in the city. If you watch ESPN, you'll see all kinds of stuff from New Orleans this week. It's going to be a fun week. But obviously, I was planning on having the perfect storm of Saints playoffs, national championship, the whole thing going on this week, and the Saints let us down. But for Saints fans, I don't know, you're so used to having somebody to blame at the end of a season. Saints got nobody to blame themselves for losing this game. Nobody. You can't blame the refs. You can't blame some crazy play. 3 years in a row now, the Saints lost on the last play of the game in a playoff game. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
So,
wow.
But don't worry, Saints fans. I got some crazy-ass idea coming up. Some of you might not like it. Some of you may like it, about how we're going to move forward. And if you don't take my advice, you're just going to get regular season superstars for the rest of your life. You're going to get guys that, this team does not show up in the playoffs. And like the 2 weeks before, Drew Brees had to break a record for the most passing touchdowns, and then the week after, Michael Thomas had to break a record for most receptions in a season. Oh man, the guys came to play that week. 2 weeks in a row, they came to play. Oh man, they came to play. They were red hot that week. Regular season superstars. Regular season superstars. At what point, look, man, I'm black and gold through and through. I love this team. I love Drew Brees. But at what point do you guys start looking yourselves in the mirror and say, hey, we've lost 3 games in a row. 3 years in a row, our season ended on the last play of the game. At what point do you look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, man, maybe we're the ones choking up at the end? Even after that bad call last year, you've said it many times, the Saints have had chances in that game. Chance after chance to put that game away. They even got the ball in overtime and threw the interception in that overtime game last year. There were so many chances. Yep. It was their own guy that missed the tackle in the Minnesota Miracle. Who do you blame? I mean,
right.
That's at what point are you guys just regular season superstars? So Webb, here's what I'm saying. All right. Drew Brees is a free agent.
Yep.
This is going to pain me to say it. Look, people are going to take this the wrong way. I'm as Drew Brees fan as they come. I said it last week, and I'm not one of these guys that says, "Oh, Taysom Hill is just the savior and all this shit." I get what Taysom Hill does and what he brings to the table, but Webb, the NFL is changing, right? There's a new look at the games today, right? Even the games last week, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen both made plays with their legs. Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens have built this team around Lamar Jackson.
Correct. That's why they're successful. Greg Roman's done a fantastic job.
Right. For years, every time somebody came in the in the NFL as a quarterback, and they had some athletic ability. They said, well, we got to teach them how to be a pocket passer. Well, the days of pocket passers are over. It's done. The Tom Brady's, the Drew Breeses, the Peyton Mannings, that shit is done. This is days of Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, like I said, Josh Allen, even Tannehill has some wheels to him.
Yep.
Lamar, I'm not putting him in the same category as Lamar Jackson. So here's what I'm saying, Webb.
Okay.
Instead of paying Drew Brees $25 million this year, we move on. We move on. Otherwise, the dude can't throw the deep ball. The only deep pass they had completed in the game the other day was the one Taysom Hill threw.
Yeah, he can't throw the ball. He can't throw that far.
Right. That was what happened to him on that play, the interception before the half. So you got the quarterback. Everybody's like, well, and all three of the quarterbacks on the Saints staff are free agents. Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill, and Drew Brees. Okay?
Yep.
Sean Payton, you're the offensive mastermind.
Right.
You can probably sign Taysom Hill. You don't even have to tell him you're signing him as a quarterback. You can tell him you're signing him as a Swiss Army knife player. Everything, a slash type player, right?
Yeah.
You offer him $12 million. Offer him $12 million. Other teams aren't going to sign him as their starting quarterback. He's not going to be getting quarterback money. Boom. And then Sean Payton, you build the offense around Taysom Hill. He can throw well enough. He can run well enough. He can do all the things that the modern day quarterback is doing. The game is changing. And if you keep Drew Brees around here for another $25-30 million for another year or two, you're going to get the same result over and over again. You're going to go 10-6, 11-5, make the playoffs, maybe wild card, maybe win the division, but you're not going any further than that. Not if this team doesn't come to play. And how does a Saints fan watch the next? We've been doing this for 3-4 years now. How do you watch? So next year, Saints are going to make a turnover and go take the pictures in the end zone. Everybody's going to get all fired up. They're going to go 11-6, 11-5.
Right.
How do you watch it, Ralco? Well, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. We'll see. You can't get too hyped up.
No,
you're
13-3. You got to wait till January, whatever.
13-3, and in the words of Earl Onus, they'll piss it down her pant leg every year. Piss it down her pant leg every year. So, folks, you heard it here first. Saints fans aren't going to like this. It's the time in the NFL for the Lamar Jacksons, the Russell Wilsons, Mahomes, Tannehill, Josh Allen. It's a young man's game. It's an athlete's game. You need somebody that can make a play when the defense has you stopped.
How come you don't give Dak Prescott no love, Smitt?
Because he don't win shit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, all right, Dak. I mean, but it is. It's that. I'll give Dak. But I mean, well, shit, dude.
Those guys are in the playoffs. Yeah, I got you.
So, right. But it is. It's a changing of the guard in the NFL. It's a different game. When we first grew up, it was run the ball, and then on 3rd and 8 you pass the ball, and then over our time we've seen everything from the run and shoot offense, the going to that what the Oilers did with Warren Moon and stuff like that. And it got the Dan Marinos and stuff like that. I think when we were young, even John Elway had a little bit of wheels and more athletic ability than some of those guys, But the pocket passer was the way to go. Oh, we got to turn. Look at Tim Tebow. If somebody built an offense around him, he came in, won playoff games and everything. But they always tried to turn him into. And I'm not saying he's the athlete that Lamar Jackson is, but always tried to. All they ever did. If you came out of college and were a great college quarterback, they made you a wide receiver.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Those days are over. Those days are over. So. It's time the Saints looked ahead. If Sean Payton is really an offensive mastermind, man, he can build an offense around. Taysom Hill can run and he can throw. He's been in the meeting room for 2-3 years now with Sean Payton and Drew Brees. He's got to know the game if he doesn't know it by now. And he's the only one. Him, DeMario Davis, and Harris were the only ones that showed up to play Sunday.
Yeah, and it's not only that. You don't even got to design it off. It's just a copycat league. Just copycat what these other guys are doing.
Right.
And then put your own, spin on it from there.
Yep. So that's how I see the Saints moving forward. If we're gonna make a change, this is a young team. Everybody talks about the Drew Brees window is closing. Well, what about these guys? What about Cam Jordan? His window is going to be closing. What about all these other guys they got all over the field? They're Ramczyk, Armstead. These guys are their window's closing too.
Yeah, Lattimore.
Right.
Michael Thomas.
Right. And I'll tell you what.
Brees' window is closed. It's not closing.
Yeah.
It's shut.
I agree. Unless you're just happy having regular season superstars and going 12-4 and 11-5. I mean, if you're happy with that, fine. To me, Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis have raised the bar so high that that's no longer that. Back in the 90s, that was okay for the Saints. Make it to the playoffs, right. make it through a round, but the bar has been raised. And unless you get a Super Bowl, it's not a winning season. It's not a good season. So I'm tired of the bad taste in my mouth. Every year the Saints are over.
I'll tell you what, if they bring Drew Brees back, they ain't winning 10 games.
Right.
They're not going to win. They're not going to go another year where everything's going to fall their way regular season wise. The guy missed 5 games this year and they went 5-0. That will not happen again. Right. I can tell you that.
Right. All right. So that's my take on the Saints. There was other games. There was other games last weekend. Webb.
Yeah. I'm surprised you acknowledged that. Yeah.
Yeah. There was good
Perone,
games.
I'm going to hear it from Perone.
The Jets did not play. The Jets did not play. I want to get that out there. That's part of the reason why we're not talking about the Jets today. And they didn't even fire their coach or anything like that. So nothing newsworthy. I guess maybe wondering whether Le'Veon Bell is coming back or not. But other games last week, the Bills, man, it's a good young up and coming team. But man, they were just too young to win that game or something.
You're being too kind. That dude, I don't know. It's the first time he played football. What the fuck is this guy thinking? I don't know what he's. I mean, come on.
I'll tell you, they lost that game at the end of the first half. They had a chance to really go for the jugular and make it 17-0. And it was almost like they settled for a field goal to make it 13-0. And at that point, with 2 scores, Deshaun Watson was going to make some plays. Man, this dude can take a team on his back. We've seen him do it in college. We've seen him do it in the pros.
He's phenomenal. It almost looked like they were just kind of happy to be there. And I don't know. I was disappointed in the Bills' play, particularly Josh Allen's play. I mean, when you're young, don't cut it. Your second playoff game, the young is out the window. You're old enough now. You're running in the tall grass with the big dogs. Act like it, or you're going to get smacked like they got smacked.
Yep. There was a couple drives down the stretch. It was almost like I almost thought Allen had money on the
other way. Like,
Houston.
It was so
like
bad.
They would be in field goal range. Yeah, they would be in field goal range and end the drive with Houston with the ball in their field goal range. Like they would go back 20 yards from the 30 to 30.
And is that the game where what Booger McFarland said, run the ball and then spike it, and that would have been 4th down? I think that was ridiculous too. To hear that,
Booger McFarland is a riot.
To the middle of the field and then get a couple yards and then spike it. But it's funny. It was 3rd and 10 at that time, so he would have spiked it on 4th down. Right. So not too many people caught that. I didn't think so.
I didn't see that one. That one. But I did see. What's pretty funny. Oh, well, we'll get into the new coaches later and what Daniel Snyder said at his press conference when he introduced Ron Rivera. He gave everybody the happy Thanksgiving, but we'll get into
Thanksgiving. It was December 27th or whatever it was.
So obviously Deshaun Watson is just a beast. J.J. Watt came and they made big plays and stuff like that. So, but Watson, man, we've seen him do it in college and now we've seen him do it in the pros. He just takes the team on his back and gets it done.
I love Deshaun Watson. He could be the best player in the league.
Yeah, love
this guy. But that team and that shabby ass coach he has too.
Yep, love this guy. So and then moved on. In other somewhat surprise, usually we would take the Patriots at home against almost anybody in a situation like this. We went with the Titans. And Titans came and Henry he looks like a man among boys.
He's bowling it down there. Yeah, yep. So I'm rooting for him today. I don't know if they're gonna get it done, but
yeah, getting that 10 points. We'll be getting into that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So the Titans go into New England, big win, man. They went right down the field on the opening drive, got a touchdown, and man, it makes you wonder about Tom Brady's future as well.
Yeah, it's another one that's looking old. Although he doesn't look as bad as Brees did.
Arm strength wise, Brady still looks like he can zip it when he needs to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he can kind of throw it, and he's got much less help all around in terms of the weapons and then also the offensive line. I mean, they were decimated by injuries on the offensive line. I don't know. If I'm a Patriot fan, you just let him if he wants to come. Tom Brady wants to come back, he can come back. Simple as that. And he does usually take that hometown discount. Get the guy a couple linemen, maybe a receiver or two, get one of these hybrid tight ends for him like he had and kind of roll it out there again. The Jets obviously are getting a little bit better. The Bills are getting a little bit better. Miami's still going to be a work in progress, but that dude seems like he's a good coach. So you kind you got a little bit of a window there. You got to fight Buffalo off, but you got another shot. You know, you can still win 10, 11 games, you know, maybe get that home field. So I don't know if, you know, I think it's a different situation to Brees, but just particularly in how he looked and what he had to work with in terms of certainly the receivers and the weapons and stuff. So.
Right, I think the big difference is Tom Brady almost in some of his press conference seems like he's open to going somewhere else. That seems kind of weird to me. That might be just a contract ploy kind of thing, or just kind of keeping it interesting. But
well, the thing is, I mean, he wants at some point he's got to feel a little bit fucking disrespected. Like, dude, you want me to, you know, he's like Bugs Bunny. He's got to throw it and catch, like his wife said that one year.
Right.
You know, and there is an element of truth to that. So I mean, it's funny. There's rumors of him going to the Cowboys, which would be insane. I wouldn't want that, but. Just funny. I think he is open to it. It's funny. It's some team, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a Northern California guy. Maybe he ends up in something crazy like Oakland. Well, actually, they're in Vegas now. Maybe even, you know, the old Raiders, that would have been something they might have tried. And maybe even San Diego. They seem to have everything in place except for some quarterback play. They had some bunch of injuries. So that may, you know, he may head back to California. And the thing with him is he doesn't need the fucking money. Giselle makes more than he does. So it's, you know, you could get him for 25 or, you know, you don't got to give him 35 or 40. So I'd be interested to see him go somewhere else and see what happens. Or the other thing that you hear is Kraft may make Belichick keep him, and then Belichick's going to leave. So I've even heard some rumors. You know, the scary rumor around here was Belichick was going to end up coaching the Giants. So that was a good thing. I'm glad that didn't happen. Oh, wow. So, yeah. Right. So.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Going to be an interesting offseason. Moved on. And then the Eagles. Man, I convinced you to take the Eagles in that game. The Eagles, and I like the under. You like the over. And we were thinking about whether to go Eagles and over or Seattle and under. Right. We took the wrong one.
Yeah, swing and a miss.
And so, but obviously, you know, Wentz getting knocked out early in that game. That was a pretty cheap shot, I thought, from
I disagree. He did not get fined either. I saw that something came up this morning. I didn't think it was. What is he supposed to do? Is he get paid to fucking tackle the quarterback? It's a playoff game. What do you want him to do?
You're not allowed to tackle the quarterback anymore. That's been pretty much well established.
Well, okay. They got to tell the defensive guys.
All right. Well, if Tom Brady does that, it's a flag. That's all I'm saying. Well, anyway, we'll go moving on. It kind of took us out of the game.
You gonna wear a referee jersey next podcast?
No, I don't do that. I don't do that. That's not me. All right. And I'm all for hitting the quarterback. I'm just saying you can't do it now. Right. So, but that kind of obviously took us out of that game. Actually, McCown played serviceable job, I thought, and it came out today. He tore his hamstring before halftime, and continued to play because they had no other quarterbacks on the roster. I think it was just Wentz and him. So even during the game, they were saying if this guy goes out, they got to bring. I think the tight end was the third emergency quarterback or something like that.
Pain too, man.
Right. So
that is some pain. If anyone's had a hamstring, you know, and I feel like you got shot.
I think it was like not even just pulled hamstring. He was like he messed it up bad. So, all right, so that was the week in review. Move on. A lot of big news in NFL football. Some of the coaching carousel. Got going. Yes. Don't forget, we're going to get into the college football playoffs in a few minutes. We'll get those picks and the NFL playoff picks in a few minutes. But obviously, the Giants got the wide receiver coach from New England. Ron Rivera is going to Washington.
Yep.
Carolina picked up the Baylor coach.
They paid him a ton of money. I don't understand that. I'm sure they could have got him for half of it. Well, I don't know what he's making at Baylor, but they could have got him for half of that, I'm assuming.
I don't get that because I'm not a big fan of the college. I just haven't seen enough guys, or if any, you know, make that adjustment really successful to go from college to the pro level to pay a guy that much. I mean, what did you just coaching at Baylor? Like he didn't even get a job. He didn't get a job at Alabama. He got the job. He was able to get the job at Baylor.
Right, and he's and it's not like Nick Saban or Dabo, playing in the playoffs every year. I mean, he did a great job at Baylor. He brought.
I guess a winning season is good at Baylor, but damn,
that's a lot of money.
And then McCarthy, I think Dallas got a good guy because you've been talking a lot about Lincoln Riley and Urban Meyer and stuff like that, but I think a proven NFL vet is a good fit for Dallas. I think McCarthy's a good guy. Interesting note, he was the offensive coordinator here for Jim Haslett when Aaron Brooks, and he was the offensive coordinator when Aaron Brooks got the Saints' first playoff victory ever against the Rams a while back. So I like McCarthy. I think he does a good job. He kind of butted heads a little bit with Aaron Rodgers, but I get the feeling Aaron Rodgers is an asshole.
He butts heads with everybody. Yeah, he's always whining about something. I'm in favor of the McCarthy hiring. I like it. I think it's going to be good. I think he kind of checks all those boxes. I was not on the Lincoln Riley train. I would have liked Urban Meyer. I think that's a complete different animal than Lincoln Riley. I don't know how Lincoln Riley gets absolved of having a defense that is ridiculously bad year after year. Right. It's the same thing. You're the head coach of the team. You're not the offensive coordinator. And every year it's the same deal. You're going to get shellacked in that playoff. You want to talk about, regular season all-stars or Hall of Famers. It's, you're going to win 11. You're going to win 11 games left-handed anyways. And what's the sense? If you're an Oklahoma fan, you got to really start being pissed off at the same fucking shit every year. So McCarthy's good. I think I'm glad that they're going to clean house on the defensive side of the ball. More importantly, I've never been a Rod Marinelli guy. He was our defensive coordinator. I'm not sure how he got the reputation as being a good coach. He was the coach of the Lions, the head coach when they were 0-16. And Cowboys, the defense, to me, always seemed to break and bend and collapse at the worst possible time. So I'm glad he's gone. Chris Richard, whoever his name is, Richard, I was kind of a fan of his. But again, the results were on the field. So as far as I'm concerned, they could have got rid of anybody and everybody. So that includes the quarterback, the left tackle, the wide receiver, the running back, the linebackers, the whole fucking team. So there's not anybody that they could have kept that would have left that would have upset me. So including, like I said, the entire roster and coaching staff. So, and it's thank God the special teams coach is gone, because that was just almost embarrassing. Every week for the team. So, Ron Rivera, I'm not scared of him being in my division. I do think he's an above average head coach. I think he'll provide some shit that they need, for the franchise in terms of discipline, some accountability, but he doesn't scare me as a coach. I don't know. And then the Giants, I have no clue. They seem to be on the 2-year coaching carousel. My guess is, again, this guy's if Daniel Jones isn't a Dickie Dimes, like they call him, then this dude will be out of here 2 years later too. But he's better. At least the dude they had a couple years ago looked like a 70 porn star. I think McAdoo. He had this fucking cheesy ass mustache. I love seeing him out there every day for my Giant fan friends around here. So it looks like the Cowboys at worst have the second best coach in the division. I will give it up to Peterson just based on the success he's had, although I'm not sure he's all that good of a coach either. So, the Browns obviously are completely dysfunctional, yet to this day. It's funny. I guess Baker Mayfield isn't that fucking good. And then the biggest joke or laughable thing to me about this whole thing is their guy Jason Garrett. They're talking about him being the offensive coordinator for the Giants, which I will do a belly laugh roll around my living room if that happens. They'll be real good between the 20s and then play for the field goal every time, which I will love to see. So. Yeah,
it's funny. All these guys are wheeling and dealing, making moves, and then the Cleveland Browns are still without a head coach.
Right.
No reason. And then that rumor about Jason Garrett going to the Giants, I think, is hilarious as an offensive coordinator. It'd be funny if he goes in as an offensive coordinator, and let's say their coach kind of lays an egg for the first year and a half or something like that, and all of a sudden Jason Garrett moves up to be the head coach.
Well, they'll be. I mean, if you're a New York sports writer, you were begging for them to hire G. I mean, that is just they're doing your job for you there. And it's funny too. I think Freddie Kitchens, I saw, is up for one of these offensive coordinator jobs too. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the Giants, but maybe it was down in Carolina. I see his name. It's funny.
Yeah, I did see his name popping up a few times.
That's interesting, so it's funny.
As long as he doesn't have to coach big personalities like Mayfield and
those have to be the head
Beckham
coach
or something like that.
That's a big completely different. Don't go out there and be the face of the franchise. I think he'd be all right. He can certainly
makes you wonder. Like, isn't there more guys to pick from of this coaching carousel?
I mean, it's always a retread. It's always and it's funny. The Cowboys interviewed Marvin Lewis, which was funny. And I wouldn't have. At first I was like, wait, and then I kind of looked into it. But there was some success there. He, that was not a good Cincinnati Bengals team when he got there, and they were to playoffs every year. So not that I'm looking to make the playoffs and not win, but it was.
And it's funny, like this NFL has that Rooney Rule in where everybody's got to kind of talk to a minority head coach. And then so I think they talk to him as maybe it's better than having no rule in place. But man, it seems like there's some young up and coming coaches that could be placed into this mix without going to the old guys over and over and over again. Like some of these guys have terrible track records, and they're being considered for jobs just because they've been there before, man.
Adam Gase proved to the league that he couldn't do it in Miami, and the Jets hire him like the day after he's fired. That to me was just he just showed you that I don't know how to do this.
Right.
So you're going to get a better job. Again, I don't know how that works. And it's interesting, too. We just mentioned the Bengals. I don't know if we talked about this, but they're talking about, we mentioned Brady maybe leaving. They're talking about Andy Dalton going up to New England.
Oh, wow.
If Brady leaves, yeah. So that's
crazy. I can't imagine Brady or Brees playing for another team. But like I said, it just seems like Brady's a little more open to the situation. So we'll see
I agree.
We'll see how it turns out. All right. And it's funny. Do you see, man, everybody talks about how dysfunctional Washington is, the Redskins and stuff like that. Yeah. So Daniel Snyder comes out during the press conference to announce Rivera as the head coach, who I'm a fan of Rivera anyway. I think that's going to be a good hire. He's a no-nonsense guy. And I think it was like sometime between Christmas and New Year's, might have been even after the New Year. And he comes out to introduce Rivera and tells everybody, hello, welcome to the press conference today, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody, Snyder goes. So if you get a chance to YouTube that.
What the fuck is that? Yeah, I think it might have been like January 3rd or something like that. Yeah, and I don't know if he was stroking out or what was going on, but yeah, I didn't understand that.
Maybe you want to say happy holidays. I don't know. Maybe it's something about the Redskins and Indians or something.
He's going to be nervous. I mean, come on.
Right. Oh boy. So all right, I guess maybe we can just move right into the picks this week. We can talk a little bit.
You want to talk about our conversation last time about LeBron versus
So Howard Smith, he's one of our fans here, listens to the show, talks about, he went on our Facebook page and was basically saying he's on the LeBron side. We talked about it a little bit, and I talked about a little bit about what I thought and stuff like that. So, Howard kind of his biggest argument was about that, if you moved Jordan to today's rules, that the Kevin Durant's and guys like that would just be stepping back and hitting threes over top of them. I don't know if you got an opinion about that. I talked a lot about last week about Jordan and his will to win and just over LeBron, just how much better I thought he was than him. But I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, Howard, first of all, thank you for listening. Thank you for the input and everything. I can guess your age. I'm sure you're younger than both Smitt and I. That's typically how it goes. It is a generational thing. I'm going to, KD shooting over Michael. That's something that could probably happen. KD is 7'1", 7 feet for sure. Michael's 6'6", 6'7". That to me is not really an argument. You put Michael Jordan in today's game, he's going to score literally every time down the court. He'd be James Harden times 1,000. The guy could literally score every time. He could almost do that back when they actually played defense and you were allowed to hit somebody. The vast difference, and when Smith brought up last year what Chauncey Billups said, when Michael was around, nobody else ate. None of these guys. Barkley, Hakeem got one, but Michael was out at that point. Barkley, the names are escaping me now, but several, Malone, Stockton, even those Blazer teams were good. Never got any wins. Drexler and them. So no one ate, which is an excellent point. The will, I don't know if it's the drive, the competitive, the drive to win, or the fear of losing, whatever you want to call it. But there's no way that Michael, to me, it's a comparison. There's Jordan is my hands up here, and then the rest are, don't get me wrong, LeBron's a great player, and obviously he's been winning championships since he's 10 years old. But you put Michael and Michael's up top, and then you want to start, you go down a couple rungs, and you could go LeBron, Will Chamberlain or whoever, but Michael's way up there just based on the competitive, who he played with, who he played against, the leagues. Then LeBron James would be crying. He'd be on Twitter every night saying, this guy hit me in the mouth. Charles Oakley, elbowed me in the nuts. Bill Laimbeer, spit on me. Whatever, you want to go down the list and list. There was defense allowed then. And Michael Jordan, he was an assassin. He would slit your throat. If you want to read some books, you could read how he was playing for the White Sox in the minor leagues, getting in almost fist fights with, 18-year-old kids over at Penny Annie, poker game on the bus from, the Durham Bulls to the fucking, Chattanooga Hoochies for, playing poker with these kids. So it just, the competitiveness was second to none. The guy's the best ever, hands down, period, the end.
Right. I agree with you totally. Jordan's will to win, refuse to lose, whatever it was, his drive. There's nobody, and you can go through other sports and not find a guy as competitive as he is. And but actually, you were wrong about the Howard Smith age thing. He's seen Jordan. He's seen generations before us. He's an older guy than us.
Oh, wow.
No offense, Howard, but you're older than us, so we'll go with that. But just wanted to put that out there. So Howard's comment on our Facebook page was, in my opinion, he gets smoked just like everyone else. I can see KD putting that jumper on him and Harden doing that step back on him, not to mention the Splash Brothers saying you can't guard both of us. Plus the rules today ain't the Jordan rules, and the Euro guys would drive him crazy. My response to that was, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's why this debate goes on. Could you imagine LeBron, KD, or the Splash Brothers trying to go in for a layup against the 80s Pistons, Celtics, Lakers, or Knicks? They wouldn't make it out alive. That's pretty much. So it is a case of, which rules you might be playing this game by. But to me, Jordan, if he was playing dominoes, would refuse to lose to anybody. So I don't care. I don't care what the rules are. But an interesting conversation. We thank you, Howard, again for the comments and stuff like that. And this debate will rage on for as long as we go. All I care about is that the Lakers do not win a championship this year. I hope LeBron lays an egg, and AD, LeBron's bitch, gets everything that he deserves. By the way, the Pelicans are starting to play some ball. They've won about 8 out of 10 right now, I think. Zion has been practicing. They're going to be coming back. I mean, I don't think there's anything going on this season, but at least they seem to be riding the ship a little bit at least every time I bet against them, they get their shit.
Yeah, well, that's all you got to do. We bet against them 82 times. They're not going to lose a game.
Right.
And they beat the Knicks last night. I think we're going against them tonight. They ain't winning again tonight.
They're back-to-back tonight?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Might have to get on that train tonight.
Yeah.
But they've been winning. If you want to know, the Pelicans, they're playing at the Celtics.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't know if Kemba Walker's playing, but that's not small. I think it was 3.5, something like that. Yeah, we're going to be on that one for sure.
All right. Well, we can get the Pelicans have won.
I mean,
7 out of the last 9. 7 out of the last 9.
They're better than the fucking Knicks, I'll tell you that.
So, all right, Red, right here in New Orleans, teams got to town yesterday. Press conferences are going on. This bad weather should be out of here by this afternoon. Going to be a great Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday here in New Orleans. College football national championship. Obviously, I've talked a lot about LSU this year. I got no problem with Clemson, man. It's a good team. Their quarterback is just a winner. Never lost a game. Never lost a game in college football.
Every time I say that, I laugh. It's fucking great.
Yep. Trevor Lawrence. But Joe Burrow, obviously the Heisman Trophy winner. This matchup has everything you're looking for. Dabo Swinney, his team's going to come to play. Coach O, man, this is going to be a game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Is there a lot of orange down there?
Yeah, there's more orange right now than purple and gold, but that's just because of the proximity. By Sunday evening, this is going to be a mass LSU Tiger
crowd. Especially probably with the weather too. Baton Rouge is probably just waiting until.
There's no reason for people for LSU fans to be here on Friday evening and Saturday and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep. This number is surprising. We talked about this. It's still holding tight at 5.5, and there's all kind of articles saying how the public is all over LSU. But I guess that what it's telling you is no sharps have put their play in yet, so that's probably why this number hasn't moved. We're still sitting at 5.5 and 69.5. That's a high number for me. I don't know if I'm going to play on that. And obviously, Smitt, you're leaning LSU, obviously.
Yeah. I sure wish I had called you late Saturday night after those games. Those 2 games were played, and I saw an ESPN line late that night of the game saying LSU was -3.5, and it was like midnight, 1 o'clock. I was like, I'm not calling Webb now, but the next day I got in, and it was 5.5 already by the time. I
think I saw the same thing. You can call at any time. Don't hesitate, especially on something of that magnitude. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that we would have gotten that anyways. Even if I tried to put it in, I'm thinking something would have shot me and said, okay, now your current line is. I don't know how real that line was at that point. I don't know if the sports books were using that or that's just what somehow came out, because it changed almost instantaneously right to 5.5, and that's a big jump. So I don't know how real that number was. Excuse me. So. Obviously Clemson is extremely hard to bet against. I don't think they've won. I mean, I don't know. They haven't beaten anybody by less than like 28 points since, I don't know, September or whenever it was, or October.
Probably since that North Carolina scare or something.
Yep. You know, like I said, we talked about Trevor Lawrence, amazing. Etienne, I mean, they're littered with first round draft picks. The receivers, defensive linemen are still excellent. So I don't know. But then, you know, flip it over to LSU and you get the same deal. You know, there's the running back should be fully healthy. Obviously Burrow is going to be the number 1 pick. They got a linebacker, a cornerback, and I think it's safety that are all projected as number 1s. I think even one of those receivers I saw late in the first round. So it's real hard. You know, I'm going to probably have to lean with my colleague here. Not going to go against him on LSU. It could go either way. 5.5 again is a big number. I guess by the end of this we'll have to pick something, right, Smitt?
Yeah. You know, I've been on LSU all year long. This is ordinarily just like I talked a little bit about the Patriots game last week. I would never go against a team like the Patriots, get late, you know, in a big playoff game and stuff like that against a Tennessee team that hasn't really been there before. But LSU, man, they just look so good. They look so good in all their games. Nobody's been able to figure out their offense. Their defense has looked suspect at times, but really the last 4 or 5 weeks, the LSU defense has even gotten a little more solid. I would ordinarily take a team that's never lost. I would take Dabo Swinney. I would take Trevor Lawrence getting 5.5, but I'm not going to do that this time.
But that's not what we're going to do. Yeah, I mean, I think Lawrence is ridiculous. Again, I think Dabo is a better coach than Coach O. He kind of caught lightning in a bottle here. Not that he's not a good coach, but no one saw Burrow being this good. He was supposed to go to fucking Nebraska, and then Scott Frost said, "No, I'll take this Martinez kid." Yeah, good decision.
And I don't want to bring in any competition. I'm not going to bring in any competition for him.
Yeah. Why would he do that? So yeah, I have, you know, but having said that, it's in, you know, being in the dome is, I think, a huge advantage for LSU. They are playing well. They do have that swagger, not that Clemson doesn't. It's basically a coin flip, certainly at that number. LSU is fine. I'm down with LSU minus the 5.5. So I'm going to stay away from the total. 70 is high, but gun to my head, I would go over if I had to.
Right. I kind of lean under on that total just because you got to think these two teams to get to this point. I mean, that's 30-30. You know, you're talking about 35-35.
Right.
Before we get off the, you know, just for start, before when you get off the bus, you got to get to 35-35. That's a lot of plays. But these teams are capable of making plays. I kind of lean under on that, but we can stay away from that if you like. My thing with LSU is just I think Clemson's D is really good, but I think just LSU's like third receiver and their tight end Randy Moss's son, and their third receiver, and they just have too many guys across the board that Burrow can throw to. That eventually somebody's going to, you know, if Clemson's top 2 corners are covering the top 2 wide receivers, I just think that third receiver and the tight end is just too much. And then you got that running back coming out of the backfield. It's just too much for the Clemson defense to hold. And Joe Burrow, he just finds the mismatches, and he doesn't miss, man. That game against Oklahoma, I know that was Oklahoma's defense and all, but some of those guys were covered pretty well. Yeah. And man, he just dropped dimes in there all day.
He did. His decision making is off the charts too. I agree with LSU's offense, but that, you know, there's a flip side to that when Clemson has the ball as well. They have just as many weapons against LSU's defense.
And Trevor Lawrence is just as capable.
Right, exactly. And he's been there before. You know, and they're not going to panic. We talked about that last time. I mean, even if LSU takes the ball right down the field and 7-0, there's going to be even 10-0, maybe even 14. There's not going to be Clemson's it's not going to be a Buffalo Bills situation with Clemson. So, I do think they'll be in it. Losing by a touchdown there's no shame in that. It's not like it's, you know, an 8-point line here. I do think it's going to be close. This is a real tough decision. But just based on everything we've seen, we're going to go with the Bayou Bengals minus the 5.5. I will buy it to 5 just to keep it safe. But again, it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised. LSU wins by 14. I wouldn't be surprised Clemson wins. I wouldn't be surprised it's a field goal.
Right. All of those. I could see either team blowing the other team out.
Both
teams, both ways.
Right. But we got to pick somebody, and it's, you know, LSU's been good to us. Stick with it. Not that Clemson hasn't, but that's the pick.
We were right on both of those other first two games. We had LSU covering and we had Clemson. So big game players. We say it all the time.
That's it. Big games, big players make big plays in big games, Smith.
All right. Well, it doesn't get much bigger than this. We got national championship, and now we'll move on to the NFL playoffs. Just a few hours here. We're going to try and get this out real soon so that people can listen to our podcast. Vikings go to the 49ers, Webb.
It's funny, Smith. I'm just looking at the screen here. I'm staring at the LSU Clemson game, hoping somehow if I stare hard enough, the number will change. But it didn't work. My Jedi mind tricks didn't work on the computer here. This one to me, I don't know if we're going to disagree on this one. Minnesota and San Francisco, and 44.5. My lean here is to take the points. It's the new year. That's our resolution. I'm leaning, points and over. Again, Kirk Cousins, not my guy. I am a Zimmer guy. Garoppolo hasn't been there before. That's going to I do think the Niners probably win, but 7 points to me is a whole score. I would lean Vikings plus the 7 and then over. I do think it's probably going to go over.
Yikes. That hurts because you know what I just did a little while ago.
Yeah.
All right. So, I like the over. I'll give you that. I think these two teams will score enough that it'll be and in the playoffs, once you get going a little bit, it's desperation. So you got to start. If you get down a little bit, you got to start making plays. And when you try and start making plays, sometimes the bad things can happen or good things can happen. So sometimes that opens up the over.
And another thing that I have to mention, I think the time of this game, the lack of prime timeness to it helps Cousins. If this game was tomorrow night at 6:40 or even tonight, I would probably be much more easily convinced to take San Francisco, but I think this, being the low key games of the four, I think helps the Vikings as well.
Right. I think I lean towards the 49ers because of this. I think the Saints played as bad as they can play last week, and the Vikings played about as good as they can play, and if the game still went to overtime, I don't think the San Francisco 49ers are going to come out and lay an egg this week. They're too physical. The difference between the 49ers and the Saints is the 49ers are a physical team. They run the ball physical. They play physical defense. They got Bosa over there. They play hard D. Cousins didn't come up with that turnover we were expecting last week, or the bad big game that we were expecting last week. I just don't think he does it 2 games in a row. I think he got over this little hump that the monkey off his back, whatever you want to call it, of the big game last week. I don't see them going on a road, and I kind of feel like San Francisco is gonna beat up on Minnesota in this game. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball as well as they did last week. San Francisco is a way more physical team than the Saints. That's obvious after watching the Saints last week. Saints didn't come to play at all. I think people are feeling a little better about the Vikings because they watched them beat the Saints, and I like San Francisco.
That's a good point. The Saints, that was not a good showing the Saints put on, and it did go to overtime as we discussed earlier. I do think it's home, obviously the home that and Minnesota, the grass and everything I think will help. I'm not crazy about this 49ers secondary. What I do think, Thielens, I think he's got a cut on his leg, and Diggs was sick this week as well. That hurts. 7 points again isn't, it is a score, but it's not astronomical. They're going to win by something. I mean, if my lean here, like I said, would be, if you want to take the Niners based off what went on this morning, we'll go with the Niners and we'll go with the over to kind of cover it.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll go Niners and over, and that to me is my favorite pick of these 4 games, believe it or not. So I'll if there's another game we disagree with, I'll let you take the charge on that. All right, so we can move on. Tennessee, obviously, we talked about them. They looked really good last week against New England. But Baltimore, man, they've looked like the cream of the crop all season long. What do you think about this one?
I think the layoff is going to hurt Baltimore to start. And then again, those stats we looked at last week, every game that Tennessee plays has gone over. I think every game Tannehill, except one, has gone over. So I'm looking at 47. I'm thinking that may go over, plus 10. The thing that scares the shit out about me about this game with Tennessee is their kicker is fucking horrendous. And Baltimore's kicker is probably the best in the league. That's probably not even he is the best in the league. It's at home. That crowd is going to be fired up. I mean, I do like Tennessee. I'm kind of rooting for them. I just think, the the Cinderella slipper is going to break this week. I think I like Baltimore minus the 10 even, and then over the 47.
Wow. Okay. I was leaning towards the under in that. I think both of these two teams want to run the ball. The thing is, with Lamar Jackson, even running the ball, they come up with big plays and they score. And teams have a hard time facing him. But Tennessee, I think they're going to want to their method of success last week was to hand the ball to Henry over and over and over again, kept Tom Brady off the field. I think they're going to try and do the same thing this week and keep Lamar Jackson off the field.
What was the score last week?
20-13.
Yeah, they only scored 20 points. All right, yeah, that's. I don't know. And getting a kicker that you're looking at a missed field goal here.
This could be a field goal. This could be a field goal kind of game too, which is weird. I guess not if you're laying 10. You're not thinking that.
No, I don't. Again, I don't know. I think this is another tough one. I could be convinced in the under just based off of they're going to give the ball. He's going to get the ball 30 times. He has to. Derrick Henry.
Unless something goes wrong and they don't. I mean, then if he doesn't, they lose. Period.
Right. Then they're
getting their ass kicked and they're throwing the ball and stuff like that. Right.
Right. But Marcus Peters is good too. I mean, that could be a takeaway. I'm still Tannehill's got a great season. There's nothing to be, coming down to this weekend and losing on the road to what everybody's calling, the league MVP. And then obviously everyone's saying they're probably the Super Bowl favorite at this point. I have a hard time going against Baltimore. I could take the under here if that's.
Well, you know what? I'm just looking again. Tennessee put up 20 last week in New England, which is not easy to do in a playoff game. And if we take Baltimore, we should go with the over because I think Tennessee will be able to score. Like let's say it's 30-20, boom, you're over. That's how you're gonna. If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying?
Well, 28-20, you're there.
Right.
And Mark Ingram is kind of banged up too. He's playing, but I don't know if that's going to limit his carries, which just may mean that they're going to lean on Lamar even more. So that just means some more dynamic stuff happening one way or the other. So that's my thoughts on that one.
All right, so we're going Baltimore in the over.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if Tennessee gets to 20, I think we're 21. We're okay.
Right. Either way.
Yep.
All right. So moving on. We got Sunday's matchups, a couple of good matchups between all four quarterbacks in this one are great quarterbacks, obviously.
Yep.
The early game is the Texans and the Chiefs.
9.5 and 51. First thing that strikes me is the over here. I do think the Chiefs win the game. I don't know, 9.5. My feelings is Deshaun Watson is ridiculously good. But I think they'll both score. I think Mahomes will have them score. There's just too many weapons, especially for that Texans secondary. He's going to light them up. I think I saw the over-under at like 3.5 touchdown passes for Mahomes. Right there, you're telling me that's 28 points. Or 28 points. So it's more than halfway home. I think Watson himself can account for 14 to 17. So right there, you're at like 42. And it just so I do like the over, probably the best play on here. Gun to my head, I would take the Chiefs minus the 9.5, but that means you got to be up 17 late because Deshaun Watson can, literally run down the field himself and score at the end to keep it close. So that I could go either way on the game.
I like the over. I think both of these teams should be able to score. I think Houston in that first half last week got that playoff kind of jitters out of them. And they know they're going to have to come to play this week. So they're going to have to open it up right off the bat. Let Deshaun Watson, let's just let Watson play. Obviously, right. Mahomes and the KC offense, they're going to be moving up and down the field. I like the over. This is a tough. That 9.5, 10 is tough.
That coach sucks, Bill O'Brien, and I think J.J. Watt coming back last week gave them a little bit of emotional lift that is now going to be gone.
Right.
KC, there's going to be a sea of red, tough place to play. I mean, all that stuff adds up to 9.5, right? So. Again, yeah, tough. I don't, what scares me is, like I said, we're up 14 or whatever it is, and then Watson gets the ball and just goes right down the field.
Door. Yeah, back door. You got to be up an awful lot to protect against a back door when you're laying 10. That's for sure.
Right. So that's kind of what scares me. What did we do? We took a favorite and we took a dog so far. We took two favorites so far, right?
Yeah, but I can tell you, I like the dog in the next game if that's helping. If that's helping you out.
I just see them crushing that Houston secondary is going to get.
All right, let's go Chiefs. Right. Chiefs and over. Yep. Chiefs and over. I got no beef with that. All right, moving on. I've told you already I can't stand Aaron Rodgers, but that doesn't mean he's not a good ass fucking player. So what do you think about this one?
This one is tough. 4.5 and 46.5. Man, I don't know. This one's tough all around. I guess when I look at it, I saw some stats on Russell Wilson. I'm not sure. He doesn't really lose by that many, but his play up in Green Bay has been subpar. So all that you add that up. Rodgers hasn't been playing that well either. I think it's going to be close. 4.5. It's kind of right where, excuse me, I thought it would be. I'd lean Seahawks and the under. Just at first glance, we can go back and forth on this one too. I would be much more comfortable, obviously, if Seattle had Carson or one of the other running backs. But I do think Russell Wilson can get it done without that. He's kind of a magician himself. He's not a poor man's Deshaun Watson, but just right there with that same crazy shit he does, running to his left, throwing a lollipop, right over it for a touchdown pass. I got no problem taking Seattle here. Green Bay is uninspired, I think, at times.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you talk about Russell Wilson struggling at Green Bay, but I mean, he played in Wisconsin. You got to think it's not an issue with the weather or anything like that. So he played his college ball in Wisconsin.
Seattle, yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying Lambeau specifically.
Right. So, I think Green Bay, while they're 13-3, they've been a little bit inconsistent. They looked real bad against Detroit a couple weeks ago. They were able to pull it out. I just think Russell Wilson will a way to keep it close at least and have a chance to win at the end, even if they're outmatched in this game. I don't ever remember really Russell Wilson walking off the field getting blown out in a game. Not that 4.5 is blown out.
Right.
But and I think both of these teams will play it a little bit close to the vest. I think Seattle will want it to be a low-scoring game because they don't have really the big guns to throw the ball up and down the field. So I like the under, and I like Seattle in this one.
Yeah, that's fine with me. And plus, I mean, it's not. I'll tell you right now for sure, it's not going 4-0 favorites. That's for goddamn sure. So. We need to take an underdog regardless. So that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'll buy it to 5 and under 47. I think, maybe we'll look at a 2017 final, something one way or the other. 24-21 maybe.
So there we go. We got Seattle and the under on Sunday. We got Chiefs and the over on Sunday. Today's games, Baltimore and the over and Minnesota and the over.
No, we're talking about the Niners, I thought.
Yeah. Niners and the over. It's over Minnesota, yeah, and Niners. LSU, Monday night, big, huge game. Go Tigers. That's what I've been telling everybody at the bars because it covers both teams.
There you go.
I stay neutral. I got to stay neutral until last second. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers. But if I say it like this, go Tigers, then you know which one.
I know what you're talking about. That's right. There's only one. It's not green and it's not purple and gold or orange, Smitt. It's green, baby. That's the only color.
That's right. Man, I need to get some green this week because this is not going so good. So, don't forget, you can listen to us TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. You can check out our picks on SportsWatchMonitor.com. Thank you, John Grove, for the bumper music. I'm going to let Devin tell you about how to listen to us on YouTube.
Hi, this is Devin Weber. When you go on the Wager Makers podcast webpage, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell to put on your post notifications. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Devin. And thank you all for listening. Thanks, Howard Smith, and everybody else who chimes in on the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram and all that stuff. Appreciate that. Webb, take us out.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Howard Smith. Really appreciate the input. Great discussion. All right, Smith, let's go Tigers.
Let's do it. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
All right. Let's make some money, people.